I was thinking we would do something different today. Some more good news. Hello and welcome. This is Christina and I am so excited to share good news from Cape Town and around the world because we know that God is always up to something good. The Bible tells us that the prayers of a righteous man and woman avail much. So don't discount your prayers because they accomplish great things. And now, let's get started with the good news. After feeling the call to prayer, Mylene last May and June began to pray for her family. Here she is to share her good news.
The Lord had put it on my heart to form another prayer group. This one is just a prayer call to my family line. So the Lord told me to start praying over from my great-grandmother and all the generations, for salvations, for deliverances, just praying for people to come into their right mind, for that deception to fall off of them, that they would break free from addictions and all kinds of things, to all the generations that are still living, and basically for salvations, and that God would really push on them and just call them back and just call them and make it so that they're compelled to come to the Lord.
And the story doesn't end there. Here is her cousin Katrina to share the fruit of those prayers.
Hello everybody, my name is Katrina Block and Mylene Quijano is my cousin. So long story short, in the middle of June, I within 1 week lost my kids, lost my house, lost my husband, lost my job, had nowhere to go, and I kind of got brought to my knees and I ended up just going hard for Jesus. I got rededicated my life to the Lord. I was really broken down, really going through a lot, and then I was living in this shelter, and so God really started speaking to me, and I started fasting, and one day I was fasting and I started speaking in tongues for the first time. That was in August, and then let's see, God kept telling me to reach out to my cousin Mylene, and I haven't seen her since I was 6 years old, and we're just friends on Facebook kind of thing. And so I did, and I reached out to her, and this was a couple weeks ago, and I we started talking, and then we talked on the phone, and we figured out that she had been praying for my whole entire family to be this curse to be off, this family generational curse to be lifted off of us in May, and she stopped praying in June, for that. And then come to find out, I had my whole revelation started in June, and that was good, kind of cool to figure out. So then I started talking to her, and then within a week of reaching out to her, I had a job, I had good news on a place to stay, and that I had gotten good news about getting custody of my kids back. And then within the same 2 weeks, the Lord told me to go ahead and go get baptized. And I knew that it was like a sense of urgency. I had to get baptized. And it ended up being that I was the last out of 88 to be baptized on the Day of Atonement.
I love that Mylene's prayers accomplished so much. Even if it seemed so inconsequential, God was listening. And Katrina's salvation and being filled with the Spirit is fruit of that. And she found a church and was baptized. She felt such urgency to be baptized that she ended up being fired from her job because she went to be baptized. But God was looking out for her. The next day, she got even a better job that gave her an apartment that would allow her to bring her family home. That's some good news. I wanted to share our first COVID healing story again because it was so powerful. Here is Simone to share her good news. She might have heard the footsteps of death, but death could not take her because people had been praying for her.
I was tested positive for COVID-19 in the very beginning of the pandemic here in SA. I went for my test the Thursday. The following Monday, I got my results and immediately started quarantine. By day 3 after my results, I was taken to hospital because I was short of breath. When I went there, it was a gradual decline as time went along. it became more and more difficult for me to breathe, let alone speak. I'd call home at least once or twice a day, depending on how awake I am, to speak with my parents, and they'd pray with me every day to give me strength to get me through the next one.
I just want to say thank you very much for all the prayers going out for me. I promise I'll overcome this in just a matter of time. Love you, and thank you for praying.
I was, I think, a couple of hours away from going on the ventilator. Every day would be some sort of crash scenario. On my 11th day in the hospital, the evening, the ward itself, so it's a state hospital, and it's really loud. So the side where I am, it's just myself, and on the other side of the ward, there's noise all the time. It's machines, it's doctors, it's nurses, and I was genuinely struggling that night to the point where they didn't quite think that I'd wake up the next morning. And so there I was in the hospital, and I was concentrating so hard on breathing. I messaged my parents. I said, can you please pray with me? I can't pray back, but can you pray for me, because I feel like I'm about to die. I can't breathe. I called my parents, and we prayed together on the phone over video call. That morning, I'm not even sure what time in the morning, but I know it must have been super early, maybe 3-4 o'clock in the morning. The ward became so quiet that I woke up from my sleep, and the temperature in the room became like a freezer. So if you're in somewhere cold and you breathe out and the mist comes out of your face, out of your mouth, that's exactly how it was. It became so cold, and there was not a sound. I couldn't hear anything, and all of a sudden I felt such a heaviness and could hear wet feet coming towards my bed from the other end of the ward. And I just knew instinctively I was about to die. This was the spirit of death coming to get me. And all I could do at the time was pray out loud in my mind. I was like, God, please, you actually cannot let me die right now. I have a tiny baby at home. I have a husband in rehab. I have small children. I have so much more I want to do with my life. I'm not ready. And I eventually drifted off to sleep, and my stepfather woke up during that time of the morning. He only told me the next day. And he began to pray so fervently because he could feel the spirit of death in the room as well. And so he starts praying for me the following morning. It was as though I was a complete different person to a couple of hours before that. The doctors came in, and their words were, I can't even believe you're alive. And I said, what? And they said they were just expecting me to drift off during the course of the night because my breathing was so labored and so short. They didn't even need to put me on a ventilator at the time because, it was inevitable. I was about to die. They said someone must really be praying for you, or someone must really be looking out for you. The experience alone made me realize that God is so real, that even in your 11th hour, your last moment when you think that's it, there's no more hope for me, there's nothing more anybody can do for me, not even God, He'll snatch you right out there and He brings you out and He gives you a second chance, He gives you new life. That's what Corona's taught me, and for all who's suffering from it or affected by it, I hope that in this time you allow the Lord to become real to you like He has to me in that hospital room that night.
Your prayers are powerful. Simone was faced with death, but because of the prayers of her parents, she has life and life more abundantly. Katrina came to Christ because of the prayers of Mylene and her family. So don't discount what you can do for God as you begin to pray. And God will bring about some good news for you and your family. If you have any good news to share, we want to hear it. Send us a message at ghcc.tv/mystory or on Facebook Messenger at ghccfans. And if you want more hope, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And always remember, there's more good news out there.